Morning, folks. Welcome back to my world of stuff. It's Monday, the 6th of January. I'm off to the cinema. It's about 10:15, so it's a bit of an early one for me. I hadn't been getting up much before this time in the morning over the Christmas period because, well, why? Odd few days here in sunny South Wales. It's sort of sunnyish today, I suppose. Yeah, we had a massive downpour of snow on Saturday night. Started mid-afternoon, carried on till about 12 o'clock, then turned to freezing rain. Quite a thick sort of dusting. 4 or 5 inches maybe. Looked very festive, but started thawing almost immediately. It rained most of yesterday, Sunday, and the snow's completely gone now. You never know that a flake had fallen. It's extraordinary weather conditions. Anyway, I am off to the cinema. I'm in shadow like Count Olaf. I'm going to see Better Man, the Robbie Williams biopic, which sounds interesting. Probably not necessarily, much as I do like Robbie Williams, wouldn't necessarily have gone to the cinema to see it, might have waited for it to be on streaming, but it's had such good reviews. I think I need to have a look at this, so I won't trouble you with a long review because I suspect this isn't something that my normal channel viewers will be that interested in, but I do want to record my thoughts on as many films as possible. So once I'm back from the film in about 3 hours, I will let you know what I thought of it. So I'll see you shortly. Hello, welcome back. Yes, as I said, I'm not going to detain you for too long talking about this film because it's very much not the normal sort of films that I cover on this channel. It tends to be genre and fantasy and sci-fi and so on, but this is such a good film. Having seen it today, I just want to champion it a bit, especially because it's not a film with massive international appeal. I mean, it's only been released in a handful of cinemas in America because poor Robbie is not very well known in America. I think he's only had 1 or 2 hits over there. I think Angels did quite well back in the day. But yeah, I want to talk about this film because I wouldn't say I'm exactly a Robbie fan as such, but I do like his music, or did like his music in his imperial phase, as they say. And I liked his attitude. I liked his swagger. I do like pop stars, particularly my male pop stars, to have a bit of swagger, to have a bit of strut, because that's what they are. They're rock stars. They live in a different world. They live in a rarefied atmosphere, and you want them to behave, not necessarily badly, but you want them to behave with a bit of swagger to them because, you know, they live a different life. And with Robbie's music, I was never a big fan of Take That, but when Robbie went solo, he was very prolific for a few years. He brought out an album a year for about 10 years. He's very prolific. He had a lot of hits, a lot of great songs. And I remember particularly tracks like Rock DJ, which is still my favourite, and I'll come back to that in a moment in relation to the film. That's a favourite of mine because back in the days when I used to DJ, yes, I was a DJ for 25 years. When that was a hit, it was a floor filler. And as a mobile DJ or a party DJ, there's nothing you like more than an automatic guaranteed floor filler, and for a few years actually that song flocked people to the dance floor. It was great, and he did a lot of really good songs, a lot of ballads. Of course, his time as a major sort of force in the pop world is past now. He's not of the generation now that will have hit singles because of the way the charts are now compiled with streams and downloads and stuff. You know, veteran artists, if you like, don't really get a look in these days. But this film, back to the film, what a great film. This is directed by Michael Gracie, who did the Greatest Showman film a few years ago. And what a hit that was, and what a good film, incidentally. He's done this film, which is a biopic of Robbie Williams, but because it's Robbie Williams, it's not a typical biopic, because as you will know, Robbie Williams in this film is portrayed as an anthropomorphic monkey, a chimp, done by motion capture, which is an extraordinary conceit, and it's done that way because I think there's probably 2 reasons. Robbie has said he wanted himself portrayed that way because he's always felt not fully evolved, and he felt like a bit of a monkey loping through the pop world. And he does have a song called Me and My Monkey, which is on one of his albums, which I think was probably about the monkey on his back as opposed to the physicality of being a monkey. But it's an interesting way to portray him. The motion capture is by John O'Davis, who does some of the vocals occasionally, Robbie's voice, and it's so bizarre because you sort of see Robbie at the beginning as a monkey, as a child, in school being sort of bullied and pariahed because he can't play football and people think he's useless. And you think, this is a monkey. this is Robbie Williams as a monkey. But within 10 minutes, you've sort of not just accepted it, but you don't really notice it anymore. It doesn't figure into your sort of critical responses to the film because you're just accepting this character that's going through this bizarre and incredible whirlwind of a life. And I think it's well known that Robbie's had his demons. He might still have them. I mean, he's very settled now. He's married, he's got kids. He's 50. He's not a teenager anymore. He's not somebody who one would think is still struggling with his direction in life and where he's going, his purpose and so on. But this film does show the torment that he went through, the massive bouts of depression, the drug taking, the drinking, the abusive relationships. It starts off then, as I said, with him as a child, a monkey child, trying to impress his father, played incidentally brilliantly by Steve Pemberton. He plays Pete Conway as his stage name. Pete, Robbie's father, he always wanted to be a stage performer. He always wanted to be a star, but he never really progressed much beyond sort of cabaret performances and things. He quite good at what he did, but he definitely wasn't a star. But obviously that instilled in Robbie a need to take it a bit further and become a star. He wanted to be a huge star. He didn't want to be a nobody, and that was his main fear. I don't want to be a nobody. He gets an audition with Nigel Martin Smith, who is described by Robbie in voiceover quite colourfully, to join the band that becomes Take That. And of course, the rest of Take That is history. And of course, what is also well known is that Robbie was kicked out of Take That in 1996, 1995, after 2 or 3 years of massive success. But Robbie wanted more than just to be a dancer. I mean, Gary Barlow wrote all the songs, created the songs, he made the money, and Robbie was just frustrated at being seen as a dancer. I mean, he clearly enjoyed all the fringe benefits, the money he did earn, the drink and drugs, the women, the girls, he enjoyed all that. But because he had this urge to do something else, he was eventually fired from the band and sacked. And we see that enacted quite well in a sequence at Gary Barlow's mansion. Incidentally, he lives in a mansion at that point, and Robbie still lives at home with his mother. And then we see Robbie go through a period of self-doubt and reappraisal, not sure that he's got the talent to go solo. He goes into a messy relationship with Nicole Appleton from All Saints. She's the one that the song, she's the one is dedicated to, incidentally. And how he sets up his writing partnership legendarily with Guy Chambers, which created so many of his classic tunes. Releases his solo album, has his massive hits. His relationship with Nicole eventually dissolves because of his philandering behaviour. And eventually Robbie achieves his great ambition to appear at Nebworth in front of 125,000 fans. He's paralysed with fear. He's got these massive mental health problems, and there's a lot of fantasy scenes in the film. And the point about this film, I think it's a fantastic film. It's a terrific film, but it isn't your traditional biopic. And we've had a lot of those over the last few years. Elton John, Freddie Mercury. We had Amy Winehouse's one last year. We've got Bob Dylan coming out later this month, and we've got a Michael Jackson one later this year, which I'm very much looking forward to seeing. But it doesn't follow that traditional line of, the child who grows up and discovers they have a talent and becomes successful, and then what normally happens, you have the downside when it's drink or drugs, and then the recovery, the climb back into sobriety and finding peace. We see Robbie triumphant, singing My Way with his father on stage. But we know that Robbie's life's been very turbulent, and there have been lots of ups and downs. But it's not told with a linear attempt to recreate actual events. It's all very stylised. It picks up on incidents in Robbie's life and dramatises them in a fantastical way. In a way which makes you understand why Michael Gracey has directed it, because he brings this fantasy element to it, this pizzazz, this hugeness to it, with some astonishing sequences, some astonishing musical sequences. And the songs are very cleverly chosen to depict certain moments in Robbie's life. When he joins Take That, when he realises his songwriting ability with Guy Chambers, when he gets onto stage at Nebworth, it's those songs that encapsulate those particular moments. And it's done with such gusto and such style and such energy and such imagination. And I think the moment when he sort of joins Take That and they start to get their first taste of proper success, they go on the gay clubs, and then it turns around, they get lots of girls chasing after them. And there's a scene where he's singing the rock DJ. And of course, it's not a chronological thing. Don't expect to go in. They recorded their first single, then the second album, and it's not done that way. The songs, as I say, are chosen to represent moments in time. So it's not, no, this incident with rock DJ did not happen this way. But it's such a fantastically energized and life-affirming dance sequence with all this choreographed dancing around Regent Street. Lots of extras dancing. There's probably a lot of CGI involved in it, but it looks fantastic. And it's just the sheer cheek of it and the vibrancy and the energy of it. It absolutely flies. And I watched that particular sequence and I thought, yeah, I love this film. I really love this film. I was already well into it, but by the time we got to that sequence, it was like, this is terrific. And it doesn't let up throughout the film. It's a fairly long film, 2.25 hours, but doesn't feel it because Robbie's lived a life. And it very cleverly picks key moments. And Robbie, who's an executive producer, of course, he's picked the moments which he was most keen to dramatise. And he doesn't hide the scandal. He doesn't hide his terrible behaviour, the terrible treatment of Nicole, who's pregnant and forced to have an abortion. All that's there front and centre. So it's not a traditional glossy biopic, because it is. It's not just warts and all. It's all warts, in a way, because it's very dark in some places. But it's also extremely uplifting because the two major characters, the family characters in his life, as I mentioned, Steve Pemberton as his father and the brilliant Alison Steadman as his grandmother, who supported him from a child when he expressed his fears about being a nobody. And she said, no, you're not going to be a nobody. You've got too much going for you. And the bond he had with her. And we keep going back to her throughout his life, and he's torn apart when she eventually passes away because she suffers from Alzheimer's. It's just a great film, and I'm not going to go on too much longer about it because, as I said, this is not the usual stuff of this channel, but this is just such a good film. And I was umming and ahhing about seeing it because biopics can be a bit hit and miss. But this is very much something very different in that genre because of the energy that's on screen and the imagination and the way it's directed, and it's all very fantastical. I mean, as I said, this isn't depicting events as they happened. They're depicting events probably from Robbie's perception of them now, looking back with a distance, and what they meant in his life and what they meant to the people around him that he was using and abusing and destroying in some ways, including himself. It's a brilliant film. I mean, as I say, it does follow that trajectory because it has an upbeat ending. Not all biopics do, of course, for obvious reasons. Amy Winehouse's didn't because of her sad fate. But this does follow that, growing up, becoming famous, having the big low and then the high again. So it does follow that, but it does it in a new and incredibly colourful and exciting way, and it's hugely recommended. You might have no interest in Robbie Williams, you might have no interest in biopics, but seriously, if you want to watch a really well-crafted musical with a terrific story and a dark story about an interesting pop star, like a film we probably won't see again in these bland and anodyne musical days, can't recommend Better Man enough. It's in cinemas now, and I'm going to give it a mighty 9 out of 10 for Better Man. Right, thank you for persevering with this video. If you have, hope you enjoyed it. If you're new here, please like and subscribe. Press that like button because that's very good for the algorithm, apparently. Whatever the algorithm is. You can leave a comment down below as well if you've seen Better Man. Let me know what you think of it. Like, subscribe, leave a comment down below, and lots more stuff to come. Subscribe particularly because there's loads of genre stuff to come. I will be finally posting my video of the top 10 movies and top 10 TV of 2024. That's coming up definitely tomorrow. You'll also have noticed that I'm still in my office room rather than the garage. I've been too much of a wimp to go out into the cold in the garage, the cinema room, but I will be back there tomorrow for more recording and some good stuff coming up later this week. So stick around, why don't you? I'll see you soon. Until I do, keep taking the stuff.